Today, I would like to introduce my first published work, Transcending Heights, Journey to Freedom. This particular book is dear to my heart and it's for everyone. It talks about the importance of just healthy relationships and being able to recognize healthy versus unhealthy relationships. And also recognizing that there are resources available if you happen to find yourself in a relationship or in a situation that is unsafe. So this book is basically an outcry, a snapshot of my life and my children's lives as we began transcending heights on our journey to freedom and discovery. So this particular work reaches out to younger people, to older people, to people of all genders, races. This book explores the importance of understanding self-love, recognizing that the Lord is always with us, no matter what we're going through, no matter what we are facing. This particular work is a testimony, and it's just the beginning. It's just a snapshot of what my family and I faced, how the Lord assisted us in overcoming. And it is a tool, hopefully, to just inspire and to encourage someone else who may feel alone, who may feel as though, you know what, I'm just a prisoner. I'm a prisoner of my mind. I'm a prisoner of my situation and circumstance. This particular book is a pathway, an exploration to just share with others, that there is hope for change, that this thing called life truly is a journey. And many times we do not understand at the time why we are going through various situations and circumstances, but we learn, we grow, and we transcend through it all. Well, in February of 2011, I experienced a near-death situation. And so for a while, the Lord saved me like I was saved physically, but spiritually and emotionally and even socially. I really felt dead. I just felt really, really just dead. I had a lot of hurt, a lot of anger, a lot of shame because I stayed in a situation for way too long. And so I began writing about my life from my being born, growing up in the church, my various experiences with relationships. I was just writing my raw feelings down as a healing process to just get it all out. And so around 2012 is when I really started writing things down. And I wanted to publish it back then. However, I realized that I was not truly ready. I was not truly ready to step out there and to share my journey with others. I was still going through my healing process. I was still going to therapy. I was still trying to be there for my children and provide them with the security that they needed, because for so long, I had felt as though I had failed them as a parent. I felt as though I failed my parents. They had invested so much in me. They raised me in a loving environment, and they taught me the importance of, being strong, and they taught me the importance of working hard and protecting your family. And so I started writing on it, like I say, back in 2012. But I wasn't ready. I was not ready to truly put our story out there. We were still going through a lot. I struggled a lot. with my weight. I struggled a lot with even looking at myself in the mirror. I struggled a lot because I did not even want to draw any type of attention to myself because of the cycle of abuse that I had been through, the various relationships that I had been in, the type of people that it seemed like I continued to attract. So this particular work, like I said, I started on it back in 2012. So much was still fresh in my mind. And like I say, I was able to reinvent it in a sense this particular year because the Lord has really had to take me through a lot of transforming to get to this place where I'm like, okay, I'm putting it all out there. I'm being vulnerable. Lord, please allow my story to help someone else. And even if they are not going through this, maybe they know someone who is going through something similar. And so it took a while for the Lord to really give me that strength that I needed, for the Lord to really tell me, you have to do this, like you have to. And so, like I said, it started in 2012. And I want to encourage someone else too that may have started maybe your story or your project years ago. It's never too late to allow the Lord to use you. And I've always been taught that when the Lord blesses you with something, it's important to share that with someone else. And so that's why I did this. I mean, I hear of various stories about domestic violence still going on. I know that the Lord kept me here for a reason. Yes, I'm taking care of my children. Yes, I have come to this place now where I have that self-acceptance, but maybe someone else somewhere just needs to know that you're not alone and that there's nothing wrong with you if you're going through this. And like I say, this book not only highlights for survivors, but even batterers and rehabilitation, the importance of healing and addressing those things from the past that sometimes we leave unaddressed. And so what happens is we take them into other relationships and interactions and we project these feelings of hurt onto others. And so that's where I'm at this point right now. I'm at that point where, Lord, I want my story, if it's your will, I want my story to be able to inspire and encourage someone else to continue to transcend on their journey to freedom and not allow self-doubt, negativity, or fears to stop them from doing those things that the Lord would instruct them to do. And so that's where I'm at with where I started, why it took me a little while to get to the point I'm at. But at this point, the Lord has let me know it is time. It is time to get that story out there so that it can help someone else. As I'm sitting here and I'm just reflecting over all of the various experiences that I went through, I would say one of the most traumatic experiences that I suffered was when my children were actually witnesses to me being abused. You know, a lot of times abuse takes place maybe when the children are not around. It may just be the victim and it may be the abuser. But to hear my children scream and cry as I was driving down the street, I think we were going to one of his friends' houses. And we were driving down the street and he all of a sudden just started hitting me. He threw a Dr. Pepper can and hit me in my face. And so my children are sitting in the back of my van and they're just screaming and they're just crying. And so we get over to his friend's house and I'm thinking, okay, well, now we're around other people. So maybe, just maybe, he will calm down. But I felt even more disrespected when we got over there because over there, not only was his friend there, but his friend's children were there. And then, of course, like I say, my children were there. And the abuse continued, the yelling, the being called all kind of names, the hitting on me and everything like that. And so in this moment, I started thinking to myself, this can't be all that the Lord has for you. This can't be what the Lord has for you and your children. because to hear them scream, to see them cry, to see the terror in their face as they're seeing this happen to their mom. And then not only are they seeing this, but others are seeing this and witnessing this as well. And at this time, I was actually working on my bachelor's in sociology at Grambling State University. And so it really hit me. It hit me that you're going to school, you're trying to make a better life for your children, but here you are taking all of this abuse. And to be honest with you, even looking back now, and even as I was writing my story, I don't even remember the exact cause for that particular incident, or let me rephrase that. There is no true cause or viable cause for any type of abuse. So when I say cause, I guess you would say, what was his trigger at that point? I have no idea. I know that my abuser was very, very jealous. He was very jealous. He would often think that people wanted to talk to me or I wanted to talk to people. And so it could be anything that might set him off. And so in this particular situation, I not only feared my safety, but I feared the safety of my children. And so that was a defining moment. However, what I want to share also at this point, I think is very, very important, that even when we have a defining moment sometimes, I still didn't leave right away. I didn't leave right then because, as always, there was an apology and all of these things. And like I say, my self-esteem was very, very low. And so therefore, it was a defining moment for me that something needs to take place. However, I still didn't quite move right then. So what I would want to say to anyone that is watching this that may be in a similar situation or have been in a similar situation, you have to get out as soon as you can. As soon as you can. I'm able to sit here and share today because of God's grace, because I finally opened up my eyes, and I finally realized, my dad, when I was growing up, my Papa Bear, I love to call him my Papa Bear. He would always talk about how I was his princess. He would always talk about how a woman is a jewel that should be treasured, that should be treated with respect. And so as I'm going through this particular experience and other experiences, I'm recognizing more and more that I'm not being treated as a jewel. Actually, right now, I'm being treated less than even a human to experience all of this abuse, verbal, emotional, physical, socially. I had been isolated. And so I would tell anyone that if you are experiencing any form of abuse, get out, seek some type of resource. DART has been phenomenal for me. Domestic abuse resistance team has been phenomenal for me and my children. We have been able to receive counseling. They have other services that can help you as well. Because like I said, if I would have stayed any longer, I probably would not be here to tell any of this story. And like I say, even then, with everything going on, me recognizing my worth, you're going to school, you're working, you're trying to provide for your children, I still remains way longer than I should have. But I'm here today to say the Lord had to provide me with the strength that I needed to step out on faith, to recognize that, this is not love. My Papa Bear used to always ask me what my definition of love was. And to be honest with you, I looked at it as though two people who are faithful to each other, who respect each other, who love each other through it all, who are just there for each other. But see, even my definition of love was not really being fulfilled because guess what? I had not truly learned how to love myself, how to recognize that I'm a beautiful woman. And beauty, I want to encourage somebody with that too, because as you go through this book, you will see how my struggles were even in school with being bullied and things like that. See, beauty is more than just the outside and what people can see. It's our character that makes us beautiful. And so that's what this book is about too. Like I say, highlighting your worth, recognizing your worth, recognizing that God created you. He created you. And God is love. So if you're in a situation where you feel unsafe and every day you're just being torn down and torn down and torn down, I urge you to pray. I urge you to pray without ceasing. I urge you to take heed to what the Lord instructs you to do. And I'm going to tell you something. He provides and supplies you with all of your needs. Because I'm sitting right here today because of him. My faith had to increase and continue to be grounded in the Lord. So I don't know who all will hear this, but I want you to know that your journey to freedom starts with you recognizing that you deserve to be free, that you deserve to be loved, that God cares for you, and that he doesn't place more on us than we can bear. And further recognizing that sometimes we have to love someone enough to just separate, continue to pray for them, try to encourage them to go and get help for that hurt that they've experienced, whether it was from childhood, whether it was from previous relationships. But you deserve love, you deserve respect. You deserve to be able to walk around and not worry about if I don't answer my phone after the second ring, when I get home, it's going to be serious. So I hope that this message reaches someone from a place of love, from a place of empowerment, from a place of awareness that domestic violence does occur. It occurs more than many of us even realize at times. And if you're anything like I was, I always thought it would never happen to me. It would never happen to me. So when I got into that place, I became a prisoner. I became a prisoner of my mind, a prisoner of my situation and circumstance. But you know what? I was able to break free through the Lord. And so I'm encouraging anyone out there, break free and trust in him, because he is not only going to get you out of there, he's going to bring you through victoriously so you can share your story with someone else, To look at you and to be around you would never know, all of the things that you went through. And so, like I said, even with just a few people that have been able to actually read, and I'll tell everybody, be honest about, your feedback. But everybody's like, this can inspire and help somebody, even if it's somebody that hasn't really been in a domestic violence situation. I think they have a greater awareness now that you never know what the person you're working with may be going through, the person that you're sitting next to in church may be going through. And so every time I hear of someone that has lost their lives to domestic violence, the Lord just prompts me. He says, you've got to get out there. You've got to get out there. You've got to get the message out there. And like I say, the message that I am conveying, the message that the Lord is prompting me to convey is that we all have to be able to recognize those signs. If we're the ones, it's not just males that abuse, there are some females that abuse, but when we're mindful of our temper, we're mindful of, I still have not resolved this over here. We have the capacity to change, but we have to recognize that a change is needed. In domestic violence, it not only impacts the partners, but it impacts the children, it impacts the neighbors' children, it impacts others that are going to encounter, because those are messages that are even being sent to our young people. I can tell my children all day, just like my parents told me, about the importance of love and respect. But if they're seeing their mom be beat down, they're seeing their mom be talked about and talked down on all the time, then that message speaks volumes. And so this work, the snapshot of my life, the snapshot of my children's lives is about bringing out the awareness. It's not from a bitter place. So that's another reason why I'm glad that I didn't just put something out in 2012, because the Lord was working on me. He was working on me. This was a healing process, the beginning to a healing process. But as he continues to work on me, I recognize more and more just how strong all of this has made me, how strong it has made my children as well, and how it has helped me and equipped me to be able to work in the field that I work in now. And so I'm very passionate about advocating, creating pathways for change, sharing, I also call it transacting with others, so that we can all transcend together on our journey, our continuation, our journey to freedom. And I just thank the Lord. I thank the Lord for not giving up on me, for placing people in my life when I needed them the most. My parents that never stopped praying, prayer warriors from my church that never stopped praying. When I was so weak and I had given up and I felt like, you know what, this is just going to be it for me. But God said no. And so I want to encourage someone else today. It's not it for you. It's not. Turn to him. He is the source. He will make us new. He transforms us. And then we're able to reach out, extend that arm, and help someone else. As I was just mentioning, the Lord began transforming me. And sometimes when we're going through a transforming process, we don't really recognize how he's transcending us at the same time, because transforming and change can often be very, very scary, because sometimes we don't know what to expect. Even when it's a positive transformation, like we know, this has got to be better than what I'm going through now. So when he was taking me through the transforming process, things began lining up for me. He was transcending me. Whereas I felt like the only place I could ever really be was just that Sylvia that kept getting into one unhealthy relationship after another, that same Sylvia that it just seemed like she just found herself attracting people that really weren't looking at Sylvia, but they were kind of looking at what Sylvia could do for them, because Sylvia had a good heart. So the Lord began to transcend me, even by showing me the importance of really loving those around me even more. My children, clinging to them, my parents, clinging to them, my brothers and sisters, clinging to them. And then even with my work fields, I have the opportunity now to work as he's transcending me. He's allowing me to transcend others by working with them and sharing some of my story with them, allowing them to recognize that we all come from hard places at times, but we don't have to remain in that place. He transcended me by working on my mind. As I was going through the transformation process, I went from only negative thinking about myself to remembering that I am a child of God, to remembering that I'm a more than a conqueror through him, to remembering that he created me. So I had to have a transformation, a transcending in my mental. Emotionally, I had to get to a place where I was actually able to express my feelings to others. That was part of my transforming, and even now, part of my transcending. I think one of my biggest problems or drawbacks, and maybe for someone else too, maybe this will help you as well. Sometimes we assume that people know how we feel, or we assume that people know what we need. So even emotionally, just being able to express that, you know what, I'm not okay with this. This right here is not a good feeling. I'm hurt or I'm disappointed. And so transcending in that element socially, oh my gosh, I talk about this in my book. At one point, I wanted to be accepted so much. So as he was transforming me, he was transcending me, but I didn't even realize that, because he started placing people in my life that were able to not only help me spiritually, he placed some spiritual leaders around me, But even in my professional journey, there were people, and this is for another book, don't want to spoil anything, but there were people that saw something in me, or a person in particular that saw something in me when I was just working in my elements at work. And because of that person today, who often attests that it was the Lord who spoke to him, that's why I'm a therapist now. So even with that transcending, I never thought when I was going through the things I was going through, the relationships and stuff I was going through, guess what? He transcended me to a marriage and family therapist. Hallelujah. Praise the Lord. Yes, a person that went through so many different relationships, but he blessed me to be in a position to where, yes, I can reach out and I can talk about healthy relationships. I can talk about unhealthy relationships. I can assist in finding ways that we can communicate with each other in a more effective manner, still being humble and still being meek, but also allowing our voices to be heard. Because don't you know, when we allow him to, the Lord speaks through us. Don't you know that when we allow him to, the Lord gives us that strength and courage that we need to even be able to walk into positions that we never thought we would be able to walk into before. So he's been transforming and transcending. I've been going over heights that I never thought I'd be able to go over. So I'm encouraging someone today, no matter where you are right now, no matter where you've been, remember that through him, he transforms us. And as he's transforming us, he transcends us. But one of the key elements I always hold on to, even though he is transcending me, guess what? My goal is to assist in transcending some others. It's not about me being up here and looking down at others. No, 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 no. Transcending heights, journey to freedom for all of us, because he has no respect of person. If he could do it for me, and I'm talking about I was low. I was low. Like I was to the point I didn't want to look at myself in the mirror, low. So if he could start transforming and working on me, breaking down some things that need to be broken down, and then begin transcending and building me up, he can do the same thing for you.